This video is made for adult collectors because this morning I was shaving my face and I sneezed and I almost like sliced right through my cheek. Don't do that. For those of you who watched the mini bots video that came out a couple days ago, I mentioned that I accidentally sold my toy gears. And for people who are like, how do you accidentally sell something? I throw things into piles and I take them to my local shop, and I thought I'd accidentally thrown him into the pile and just didn't notice. No, I found him. He was in a bin. Hooray. He's still here. Yay. He died. I didn't like Starscream, like, at all. I wasn't a fan of the face, I didn't like the colors, I wasn't a big fan of the fiddly transformation or the lack of ankles and a waist, and I didn't like the strange parts forming he had. And while some of those problems are still present here, like the articulation issues and the transformation, the new bits this adds and the new colors really turn this from something that was bad in my eyes to something that I enjoy having, sort of. Makes me slightly that's not how you say that word. Makes me slightly regret, there we go, I spelled it regret. It makes me slightly regret getting rid of Starscream, but then I remember what his face looked like and how weird that off-white was, and then I think of something that makes me happy instead, like wings poutine. It's poutine with chicken wing meat in it, mixed with garlic, dill sauce, wing sauce, green onions, and tomatoes. Oh, it's so good. Anyways, Thundercracker, we're here to talk about toys, not food. Also, this was purchased at CMD store. Here's the box, not sponsored. Like I said before, the articulation issues are still present, like there is no ankle tilt. And while I can kind of see why, given how these hinges work in alt mode, I still don't really like that on a figure from 2025/2026, they just aren't there. I'd expect this if this figure came out in like 2017 and 2018. And it's not like it's elegant like Widowmaker, it's just weird here. The blue though is so nice. It's like a darker blue than what I'm used to on Thundercracker, and it looks so cool. I love the way it complements the dark grayish black on the limbs and the guns. I also dig the Bumblebee movie-esque downward swooping wings and the Fall of Cybertron style machine guns on his shoulders. The new head does wonders for this mold. That weird face on Starscream just looked so off, but here with the shades and the proper sculpting around the eyes and the mouth, it looks a million times better. And it hits all those traditional seeker notes while still feeling fresh. He is a tall deluxe too, that is in no small part due to his long skinny legs and elongated torso. Well, the torso isn't actually stretched or anything, it just looks that way because the way the cockpit's done on the figure, it makes him look taller at first glance. And while I mentioned earlier how I really like the downward swooping wings, part of me kind of wishes there was an option to flip the wings up. It would have looked a bit more intimidating if the points were sticking up the top. His darker gray plastic also helps the details pop more. They catch the light really nicely and add some depth to the figure, something that Starscream just kind of didn't do even though they're the same parts. His guns are 5mm, meaning you can take the tips off or you can rotate them. It would have been cool if they could combine, but now well. And as mentioned earlier, I think I've said this a couple times now already, even with all the new stuff, the articulation doesn't exactly improve at all. Yeah, so he still kind of sucks in this department. There's nothing changed here from the Starscream, which is a little unfortunate. Well, except for the wings, they do something different, but that's not what I wanted them to change. I wanted them to at least, you know, work on this. They said they made this mold easy to retool into other figures, and yeah, they you know, new wings and new chest and new head, new guns, but I kind of wish there was a bit more of that done here, especially down here. This is literally the only thing that bugs me. I understand why there's no waist joint with how this transforms, but this is unfortunate. The head is on a ball joint. You can look up that far, you can look down that far, and you get a little bit of tilt, and then you have your rotation. But because of this double hinge, you can unpeg it to get him to look even further up if you want him flying forward, or you can have that make him look down, even though that looks a bit strange. Well, from this angle it doesn't look that bad, but like that looks a bit rough. Also, this peg loves coming out. On Starscream it clipped in pretty well, but here it just likes to come out of place. A little annoying. These shoulders are on ball joints. They can do a full 360. They can go out that far, and the shoulder pad can detach and move independently, though it doesn't get in the way of anything. There is a bicep rotation, and you have over 90 degrees of bend at the elbow, nothing at the wrist. The wings, these are new from Starscream. They've got like this several hinge thing going on, so they can flap in and out, but then they can shift up and down a little bit like that. They're supposed to like shift backwards for alt mode like this, but in robot mode I tend to like to do this with them because then it keeps them at a bit more of an interesting angle rather than them just flaring out like this. I like the way that looks more. Like I said, there is no waist joint, and it's like there's a rivet right here on this piece, so you think, oh, it could rotate, but because it's also attached to this entire assembly back here for transformation and it locks in right there, there is no place for a waist joint, which is unfortunate, but I get it. The hips can go forward that far, They can go back a little bit. They can do the full splits. You do have thigh rotation. You have over 90 degrees of bend at the knee, which does click straight, but you know, you got over 90 degrees of bend. And then the toes can go down, I guess. This, like, there's no ankles because like there's pin and hinge and like there's no space in here because the leg has to fold up into here. But I don't know. I feel like they could have done something different. I don't know what they could have done different. I'm not an engineer. Granted, he does look nicer than Starscream in motion because he just looks nicer in general. The rest of him's fine though. The joints are pretty solid too, so I don't have to worry about anything like that. Give her ankle tilts. Do this. Do this. That's all I ask. So I really like the look of this thing. It's so much nicer to stare at than Starscream was, and all those subtle changes really bring a whole new life to this figure. Functionally though, it's still rough. The articulation really drags this down compared to other modern deluxes, and the transformation. I was kind of hoping that they would have fixed some of the tolerances on this mold, given it's the second shot of it, but the fiddliness is still ever present, and it's kind of just not fun. Okay, so thankfully there's nothing you have to take off and put in places. Like there's no weird back fin or like under gun that Starscream had. This is all enclosed. Even the shoulder guns, they don't have to come off, which is nice. So the first thing that we're going to do is open these panels up at the back of the legs here, and then fold up the heels, and then fold up the feet, them situated and out of the way for now. Just gonna bend these back a little bit so that it helps us tab them in later. Then we're gonna take the shoulder pads and rotate them forward with the guns on them. Get them forward like that and just leave them there. Now we're going to start the fiddliness, the backpack. This part right here, these little bits are what make this transformation annoying as hell. So you open this section up, then you bring the whole cockpit out. But before you fold the whole head in, you want to bring the nose cone out slightly, then bend this forward, and that allows you to bring the whole cockpit out. Then you can bend this all the way and get it all pegged together, and then flip out the nose cone. There it is. Then you take the rest of this cockpit section and clip it into place, fold the head in. Then we want to do the legs. So you want to bring the legs in, they're going to accordion in, and they're going to peg into the back of the hips. And while you're doing that, you also want to peg the legs together and just bring this whole assembly in. I've pushed these forward too far. Get that into place, get those slotted in. Then you want to bring the thrusters back up and they will peg into the back of the jet. And then you want to push the arms around because these panels are going to sit in the boosters. And then the arms are going to come around and hug the air escape holes for the friction hinge on both sides. And that pegs everything together. Then you bring this assembly forward and you want to rotate them together at the same time. That way they click into place and stay in place. And that's basically the body of the jet. I do like how that cleans up. It's just this up here that annoys me. So you want to take the wings and you want to shift them back on their double hinges. Then you want to bring this back section around, close the top part up, and then here comes the weird part. These wings, this is how they naturally sit, right? Is up here, but they need to come down here and peg into place, but they don't like staying. Like there they are pegged in, and I'm going to get these around and they're going to fold over this, right? But it doesn't take a lot of effort for them to just come back out again because they don't feel like they're designed to go there, but they're supposed to go there. That's how this works. It's really weird. It wants to push the wings out by itself, and then the back section comes open all the time, and that's a little annoying still, but it's a much nicer jet mode. That transformation may not have been the greatest thing in the world, but this jet is so nice. Not having the weird parts for me bits that don't really add much to it makes it a lot more enjoyable. This jet looks really cool with the massive backward swooping wings, reminding me of the Bumblebee movie Core Class Starscream. There is no landing gear, just some nubs, but I mean, for an alien jet that's gonna stand when he goes to land anyways, he doesn't really need landing gear. It's not like it's an Earth mode where he has to blend in. The side profile of the jet is a bit strange because of how the legs sit at this weird angle, and I always thought I was doing something wrong, but that's just how it's supposed to work. And the wings, like I said, just like Starscream, they like to pop off out of their ports if you breathe on them wrong. But I do like how he has an opening cockpit. The little guns, I think that's what these are on the side of the wings, and that lovely red stripe really highlight the swooping nature of the entire alt mode. But would I still recommend this though? Not for full price at least. This thing is better, but like it still has issues I think shouldn't really be here given this is a 2026 toy. The articulation and the transformation are really the only drawbacks to me, but that's like a huge chunk of this. They did end up fixing all the other issues, but like it would have been nice if those were fixed too. But that's been my look at TF1 SS Thundercracker. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.